Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of the Team Lead Talks podcast. I'm your host out of Alexandria, Virginia, Andrew Becker. On today's episode, someone I met a few months back down in Nashville at a coaching event program, Shiloh Lundahl. He is an international real estate coach and investor, and he hosts regular investor meetings down at one of your properties in Costa Rica. Want to learn more about that, but welcome, Shiloh. Good to see you again.
Thank you. It's good to see you as well.
So Shiloh, for those listening that don't know who you are just yet, can you give us kind of the high level overview of how you got into real estate and what you do, and then we'll dive deep here.
Sure. So my name is Shiloh Lundahl. I'm based out of Mesa, Arizona, and I've been investing in real estate since 2010. It's about 16 years. I got in by getting one rental property after having listened to the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then didn't do anything else for a few years. And then there was, and I'm also a therapist, a child and family therapist. I was working at a place, and the building where I was working came up for sale. So I decided, after getting into real estate investing, well, what if I were to buy the building and then I could rent it out to the other therapists? And so that's what really kind of got me involved again in real estate. And so that was in 2014, 2015. Then I had a buddy that was doing some flips, and I gave him a call and said, hey, let's do some deals together. And so we did start doing some deals together. And then we decided, hey, this has worked out really well. Why don't we, create an LLC together and work together for like 5 or 6 years and build up something? And so we did. And we built up a company that had about $8 million worth of equity after a 5-year period of time. And then we split the company, and that's kind of what we did. And things were going well up until the interest rates got jacked up in mid 2022. And then, things kind of started to go down and down. And to be honest, 2025 was a tough year for us. It was a really tough year. And now we're kind of starting to come out of it, and we're selling some properties. We're improving our skills and things that we're doing. But man, that was tough. I'm glad to be here in 2026.
Yeah, man, I think a lot of us are, myself included, because it's been pretty rough. But what are you actually doing now, Shiloh? So you invest in real estate, acquiring doors, and what's your focus for 2026? Are you still doing that? Are you focusing on coaching? And then, if it's the latter, would love to learn about what that coaching program looks like.
Sure. So my focus in 2026 is going to be flipping. I usually would do buy and hold and sell on lease options. And that's what I've done really well with over the last 5 years, 5, 6, maybe even 7 years. I really like lease options. I've helped dozens of people become homeowners through the lease option program. And then also I make usually 2 to 3 times what I would make on a flip, I make with a lease option. So that's my preference. However, when it comes to earning money, there's different time frames of money. You can earn what's called today money, which is what are the things that I do today that will pay me like immediately within the next 30 days. Okay. And then there's tomorrow money. What are things that I can do today that can help, get me paid within the next 6 months? And then there's later money, which is what do I do now that can pay me, after 6 months or after a year, 1 to 2 years? What can I do today that can set that up? A lot of the lease options I was doing was later money where I would get paid in 2, 3, or 4 years. And that's great. But we had all these properties that would kind of come up on a lease option where the person would either exercise the option or not. And because we had had so much, what would you call it, appreciation that occurred, if they didn't exercise the option, that was okay because we would just go and sell it on the market, and super quick to sell properties on the market. But when the interest rates went up so high, a lot of the people that we had in our properties weren't able to exercise the options. And so they weren't able to get loans. And if we put them on the market, the people on the market, because the interest rates were so high, they were offering 10% less. They would, you have to pay all of the realtor fees, and then they'd ask you for commissions. They would ask you for concessions. And so it's like I would be losing like 20% on every deal that I was selling, and just wasn't working out very well. And so that really slowed our income. Was that people just weren't buying houses. And here in Arizona, the number went down so much. It went down to like 20% of what it was like the previous few years.
Wow.
So
A
yeah,
couple
it's
of things,
tough.
Shiloh. Would love to learn in that scenario that you just described to us. You had a lease option, you had a tenant, they could not exercise it. What did you pivot? Did you just extend into another lease? Like walk us through what you did to not have to sell it 10, 20% below what you wanted to.
Okay, so this is what I did. If they wanted to stay, we would have them stay. But I did the math and I'm like, all right, I lose a lot of money selling this property right now. And then it's going to be on the market for like 60, 90, 120 days. I lose all the income from that as well. So I did this, I looked at the math, how much revenue lost from having a vacant property, what's the, realistic sales price, plus the concessions, plus selling it with a realtor. Okay, all of those things. I'm like, wow, I'm losing a lot. Well, what if I were to do this? What if I were to get a second position note on my property? Because I had a lot of what do you call it? Equity in my properties. They were lent at about 55 to 65%,
Okay.
and I had a lot of people lend me money over the years. And so I reached out to some people, or some people actually reached out to me saying, hey, um, could you use some money and then just give me a return, just like we did in the past? And so I said, yeah. And so they would lend me like $50,000 or $100,000. And then I would create these second position notes on my properties and I would leverage them up to maybe 75%, right? And so I would pull out maybe 30 or 40,000 or 50,000 on a property and leverage my property because I knew that, things are going to come back around. And as they come back around and then we get more into a seller's market again, they're not going to be asking for all of the concessions. And if I put tenant buyers in these properties again, then what's going to happen is I won't have to pay realtor fees and I can sell it to them at what that value will be in a couple of years. So I don't have to
Okay.
discount. So
Yeah.
basically I would be losing about $50,000 if I sell it today. But if I can get a loan for 30, 40, or 50,000, then in 3 years when I sell it, then if you look at the math and you compare it, apples to apples, I'd actually be making more money by getting a second position loan now and even paying that lender 15%. But what I did is I did delayed. It was what do you call it? Rather than paying the payments monthly to the second position lender, it was a delayed payment when the property sells within a 24 to 36 month period of time. And I was offering 15%. So it was a high percentage. It was backed by the property that had enough equity. I mean, they've lent to me before. They always got paid whenever they lent to me. And so they're like, yeah, I'll do a 15%, on
Hmm.
this 40,000. And then you just pay it back to me within, 24 to 36 months. So
Talk about creative
that's what I was
financing
doing.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, man. It was tough for a while. And so that's kind of how we survived a little bit, is because all of these properties slowed down. And then
Yeah.
towards the end of what was it? Towards the end of 2025, we sold 11 properties last year. 7 of them were October, November, December.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And so things have definitely picked up for us. And
Yeah.
going into 2020, what is it, 2026, we've already sold 1 property so far this year. We have 3 on the market right now, and we have about 5 that are still in the stages of flipping.
Okay.
So we're just improving our flipping right now. That's the plan, is just improve the way that we flip.
Awesome, man. Where I'm curious, like, where did you learn that strategy to take out the second, lean and get
So
through all that? Did you come up with that by yourself or?
it was a combination of 2 things. Okay,
Okay.
one is it was a combination of I've done second position notes a lot, right? So, like for instance, when I built my company on second position notes, I would get a hard money loan from a lender, a hard money lender, and what would happen is that lender would lend me up to 90% of the purchase price, and they would also do some repair credits. Or what that would mean is it's like giving you an example. Let's say it was a $200,000 purchase price. I put in 50,000 and now it's worth 325,000. Okay, so let's say that those were the numbers. Well, he would pay 180 for the purchase. I would need to come up with 20. And then
Hmm.
I would need to come up with, another 25, and then after that he would reimburse me 25. and then reimburse me another 25. And then I would refinance it and I would hold on to
Gotcha.
it and I would sell it on a lease option. That's what I would do. So what I would do is people that wanted to learn how to invest, I'd say, well, why don't you do this earn and learn program that I have? They're like, well, what's that? Well, you lend it to me on one of my deals. I'm going to include you in on a WhatsApp group that I have. And so I show people what I'm doing with my deals on that WhatsApp group. So you can kind of observe this process of me investing. And as you observe that process, you can learn along the way. And then I will give you 10% APR on your money while it's lent to me. So you earn money on your money that's lent. It's secured by the property in second position. And then when I go to refinance the property, you get paid out your money plus your interest. And then you will have learned the process. So you get to observe it. So you're learning through observation. And then also you get paid for doing it. And they're
Very
like,
cool.
well, that's great. So that's what I was doing to build my company, and it worked out great. The way that I did these interest deferred notes, that idea came to me while I was praying, saying, this doesn't look good. Heavenly Father, help me figure out what to do here. And this idea of, well, if you give them a higher interest rate, because they've lent to you before, they're, pretty confident that you can pay them back. And I was confident as well. But it's like, but I can't afford the paying them out, monthly right now. I need to have some of that cash flow for my living expenses. So the idea
Right. So
was, well, just delay until the
yeah.
property sells. As the economy picks back up and these properties sell, then you can pay them back with the sale of the property, and overall you'll come out ahead.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of something I had done in the past with prayer and, exhaustion, and it all just kind of came together, and it worked out. It really got me through 2024, the end of 2024 and 2025.
Very cool, man. I love hearing those types of stories where you didn't give up and you figured out a way to make it happen, man.
Yeah, it
So
was tough.
where were you doing this? You mentioned, and I introduced you as an international real estate investor. Were you doing this internationally? Were you doing it in the States? Like, where are you buying and holding and doing all these flips nowadays?
I buy and hold in Arizona. So my business partner and I built a portfolio here in Arizona and also in North Carolina. And then when we divided the company, he kept the North Carolina ones, I kept the Arizona ones.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
And so,
And
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
And so that's where I do a lot of the real estate where I make, my money is really here in the States, in Arizona. I really like the way that the US system works with regard to financing, with regard to property ownership and rights and things like that. I really like how it's done here in the United States, at least, and maybe, I don't mean to be political, but at least in red states that are pro investment, I really like how it works there. When it comes to international investing, over 20 years ago, I served a mission in Costa Rica, and I loved the country. I absolutely fell in love with the country, the culture, the food, how beautiful the country is. And so when I got into real estate investing and started to earn some more money, I would take trips with my kids, just one-on-one trips to Costa Rica, so they could see where I served my mission. They could see what the country was like. And as I did that, I started going down there with, a different lens, and I could start seeing opportunity. I'm like, this person has an Airbnb. What would that be like to have an Airbnb? So I went down there, did some research, brought my business partner down there. We researched what would it be like to do real estate here. And we learned, well, there's a couple things that would make money. One is being a private money lender makes money in Costa Rica. The second would be having really big or unique Airbnbs or vacation rentals that you could rent out to large groups, and so, or just something super unique that people wanted to come to. And so we decided to go and find a property that would be awesome to invest in or to buy and then have as an Airbnb. And so I was in a mastermind group at the time, and there was a guy in the group. We had, become friends, and I showed him one day. I'm like, hey, I just saw this property come up on the market, and I think it's awesome. He looked at it and he's like, dude, I'd buy that with you. I'm like, really? And so then I went back to the agents or the seller's agent and started talking to him about it. Found out more about the property. They'd actually dropped it from 1.25 million down to 750,000. So I'm like, all right, what's that story? So I found out the story, and I'm like, hey, this might be an opportunity for us. And so um, initially we were looking for seller financing, but then, and they said yes, but then they changed their mind. I'm like, all right, well, that's a bummer. That would have been a cool property to own. And then as I'm talking to my buddies, like, well, why don't we just get some other people to do this with us? And so we did. And so we got, basically we created 8 shares in this property, and we bought the property, and then we built upon it. It was originally a main house and a guest house and a shop. And so we turned that shop into a caretaker house. We found out that when we bought the property, we bought this little portion of land next to it that we didn't know that we had purchased along with it. And it was just perfect with beautiful views. We built a tiny house there. And then we were renting it out, and it was awesome. And then we're like, okay, what can we do here to improve it even more? And so we just finished adding another tree house. We added a jacuzzi that looks like a volcano, and we added 4 pickleball courts to it.
Dude, you have to send me the Airbnb link to this property. Oddly enough, didn't mean to cut you off, but my family and I are trying to figure out what to do for spring break coming up, and Costa Rica is on the short list. So send it, text it to me, dude. I want to check this out.
We'll make it happen. So I've been over the last couple of days just reaching out through Facebook to pickleball groups saying, hey, we just finished this private resort down in Costa Rica on a mountaintop that has beautiful views and has 10 bedrooms throughout the whole property. It can sleep up to 28 people, and there's 4 pickleball courts on there. And so I'm having people reach out to me saying, yeah, I'd like to, organize a trip to go down there. And, you can run retreats down there. And that's one thing that I do. So it's just an amazing property. It really, really is. And so we started off with that property, and then we bought a property on the beach. Then we bought a property out in the rainforest. So we have these 3 properties. And when I host retreats, I usually will bring people to either 2 or 3 of the properties down there. So they get this really cool experience. But yeah, it's amazing. So if you want to find out more about those specific properties, you go to Costa Rica PrivateResorts.com. And so that will show you all 3 of those properties. Now. Costa Rica PrivateResorts.com.
Private Resorts with an S.com?
Yep.
Sweet, dude. Yeah, maybe I'll reach out to you. Oh man, this is awesome. I don't want to get distracted by this, but let's talk about your program. The retreats that you do down in Costa Rica at the properties you have there. Is that part of your coaching program? Like, how does that fall in?
Yeah, good question. I'm actually going to start adding it to my coaching program. And so I do 2 very different retreats. One is for high-level investors, people that have been investing for over 5 years. They've done over 50 deals. They've made $1 million in real estate, and they're actively doing real estate.
Okay.
Those types of people, that group of people, I will host a kind of a mastermind retreat up at those properties. Cool. And so what we do is we'll go to all 3 properties, and usually I have between 12 and 18 people. And it's intimate. It's a small group where we can just like dive deep into what's going on with each other. And so what works is everybody has like about an hour and a half to do what's called a business breakdown. And they share, okay, this is where my business is at. This is what I think I'm really good at. This is what I think I struggle with. And this is what I think, and this is where I want my business to go. This is where I want it to go. And this is what I think is keeping me from that. So everybody's able to describe what's going on for them in business and then get feedback from everybody else in the group.
I love the hot seat mastermind type of thing. I've been a part of those a lot in my career, and I don't think there's anything better than that. So I absolutely love that, dude. So that's the Costa Rica retreat.
Well, that's the mastermind retreat with high-level investors.
Okay,
and I find it so great because any problem, it's like when you're surrounded by people that are performing at a high level, a level that's similar to yours or maybe just a little bit above, your problems that you've had, somebody in that group has likely had that same problem and they got through it. And they're able to share with you how they got through it. And then you may be able to give insight to somebody else that's having a problem with something. And so it really lifts everybody. It's really a great, great model for getting together and getting support and building lasting relationships. This last one that we did last year in April, Man, it was incredible. It really was. It was the best I've ever experienced. It was a smaller group. It was like 7 or 8 of us. One guy in particular, a friend of mine, man, he was just like crashing with what was going on with his business. He had lent, he was a lender. He lent us some projects up in the mountains in Arizona, and uh, who he had lent to, he knew the person he had lent to pretty well, but they had a partner. And then the person that he had lent to, they just bailed, and the partner was left with it. And he didn't have a relationship with this guy. And this guy was completely dishonest and was, he would give him money to finish the project because he had a lot of money, tied up in it.
Right.
The guy wouldn't do it, use the money for other things. He was a lawyer, so he was using the law on his,
Yeah.
on his
Tough
side
situation.
to
Yeah.
make it difficult on the lender. And ultimately, the guy had to take the properties back, pay the guy off to take the properties back. And then he's like, but I can't get people to go and take care of it. So this is where he was at when we were starting the retreat last year. And it just, you could see him like overwhelmed. And so people in the retreat, we all stepped up to help him through this project. I'm like, hey, I got a guy that's awesome. He'll travel and take care of your properties. And he does a fantastic job. The other guy says, hey, I have a license to sell properties in that area. I'm going to help you out. And just, I mean, I really think that we saved my buddy's life, because either it was going to end, sadly, or just the stress was going to kill him. And so it was awesome to really come together and be that support for one another. And then I was sharing with another guy that had some short-term rentals. He's like, hey, I have this company handling it. I don't know if I should keep it that way. I'm like, well, let's take a look at the numbers. Let's look at it. And we looked at it together. And I'm not an expert at short-term rentals, but I mean, I have these 5 short-term rentals that are all large properties, and his was a large property. And I was able to give him some feedback from some things that I had learned in some of the trainings that I had done, and that had helped my properties really become part of the 10% high producers. And so just from that, he changed things up right when he got home, and his bookings went up. And it was great. So just from that one mastermind retreat, it was really great the way that we learned from each other and supported each other. So that's what I do in April. In October, I bring people that are newer to investing, that want to learn how to invest. And I bring them there, and we just learn the basics. The very basics are how to find a property that's a good deal, how to get initial funding, how to get it fixed up, according to, your strategy, how to find the type of tenant you want, how to get long-term financing, and then how to manage it. Those are the basics. If you learn how to do those well, then you can do well at investing in these small deals, these single-family homes or small multifamily.
Cool,
So
man.
that's what I teach them to do.
Awesome. Shiloh. So there's kind of 2 groups here. Number one, how does someone reach out to you that is interested in like the basic one in October, and how do they get in touch with you? And then is the second group of like the seasoned investors, is that kind of like a private invite only kind of thing?
Good question. So obviously I need to do better with my advertising, because I think that these are fantastic, right?
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten the word out very well. So with the mastermind retreat, it is for those upper level investors. And what I do a lot is I just reach out to people that I know, right?
Okay.
But I'd love to be able to really reach out to people outside of my personal circle, because I want to expand that circle and connect with people that again are high level investors, but that want to connect with other high level investors. So that's one thing that I want to improve, is my reach. And then with the other one, as well, I need to improve my reach to people that are newer, that want to learn how to do this. But I do have a website. It's reiretreats.com. So reiretreats.com. And on there, you can see about the mastermind. You can see about the regular retreat out in Costa Rica. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be making this a part of my regular coaching program. So are you ready for me to explain the best coaching program ever?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So I have a little bit of an unfair advantage over a lot of coaches, because I'm also a therapist. And I've been a therapist. I understand a lot about how the brain works, how motivation works. And so basically the things that motivate us comes down to 2 things: fear and love. Something we're trying to avoid and something we're trying to get. Okay. So those are our basic motivators. The problem with most coaching programs, in my opinion, from what I've seen, is the following. There's a price for the coaching program. Paying a coach can be emotionally difficult because it's like, all right, I'm going to part with $10,000 or $20,000 or $40,000 to pay this person to help me be successful. They know something I don't know. If I pay them that money, then I'll get access to what they know. So I pay you that money and you're like, great, okay, here's a link to my information that you can go and you can learn about, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. The thing that is difficult is the psychology of the person that paid. When I pay you, I have overcome a big barrier, which was me giving you the money. That was hard for me. So there's a lot of work that comes in with that. So now I've done my job. Now it's time for you to do your job. And what you did is you actually gave me another job, which was I need to learn how to do this. You're providing me good information, but then I have to take time out of my day to go and study that. And I'm already a busy person. And I'm a busy person because that's how I earn money to pay you. And so when you gave me that new job to learn about this, I go and I try to balance my life with this new learning. And the truth is, learning is good, but I have to take care of all of the fires that are coming up for me, all of the immediate urgent things. And it takes time and I don't do the learning. And pretty soon I start to feel guilty because I didn't do the learning myself. And so with that guilt, I kind of start showing up a little bit less to the point where I'm not showing up anymore. And because I feel ashamed, I feel like I didn't do my part. So am I successful? No. I see other people that are being successful. I'm not. And I recognize it's my fault. And so I feel ashamed. And so over time, I just stopped doing it. Does that make sense?
Oh, I've been in that scenario you were describing right now. So it makes perfect sense to me. And I'm sure to a lot of people listening, but yeah, keep going.
So that's what I've seen is the average coaching program, your normal coaching program. Good information, but it also requires me to be disciplined to learn that information and apply it.
Yep.
So my coaching program is different. It's a year long. You pay me $10,000 up front, and it's 25 half-hour phone calls over a year. When the coaching program is geared, I don't have online info besides my YouTube channel. The coaching program is geared towards helping you get what you want to get out of the program. So we find out at the beginning where you're starting and what's your goal this year. It's one-on-one coaching. I'm going to add a group element to it as well, but it's one-on-one coaching, half-hour per phone call every other week. In the half-hour phone call, we find out at the beginning where is it you want to be. Okay, we're going to develop this program around meeting your goal. So I'm going to give you, and basically it's just the simple things, those 6 things I talked about: how to find, how to get initial funding, how to get a property fixed up, how to get a tenant, how to get long-term financing, and how to manage. Those are the things I'm teaching. Cool. So I'm like, all right, I'll give you a task in between each session. If you complete the task and show up to the next session, you're going to earn back a portion of your coaching fee. So you pay me $10,000, you have the ability to earn back $5,000. So basically, you have $200 being held over your head every week for you to do your homework. If you don't do your homework, you lose out on that $200. So that's where the psychology of loss comes in, which is actually stronger than the psychology of gain. I would like to gain something. Like, for instance, you could say, hey, why don't you do this? Make 10 baskets in a row and I'll give you $100. I'm not great at basketball, but I'll try, right? How about this? If you don't make 10 baskets in a row, I'm going to take $100 out of your wallet. Which one has more energy in it?
I think I know the answer is the fearful part of getting it taken out of their wallet versus gaining $100, right? It's like the reverse of what someone would think is the logical answer.
Right. If I'm trying something and I don't make it, that's a bummer. But if I have to do it and if I don't, you're going to take something from me. It's like, you don't take something from me. Yeah. I'm American. I love my stuff. Don't you dare take my stuff away. Even if it's crap, you don't take my crap away. Yeah. Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So there's a lot more energy that comes into this fear of you're going to take something away if I don't perform. Okay?
Yep.
So we put both motivators in there. You have the motivation of gaining. My goal is to buy 3 properties this year and increase my net worth by 100,000, which is what the average person that works with me does. They buy 3 properties and they increase their net worth by $100,000 during the year I'm working with them. Okay. So that's the gain I get. But if I don't do it, you're taking more from me. Like my thought is, hey, it's 5,000, but now, it's this loss that I experience. And in order to get that 5,000 back, you have to, or you get $200 back each time that you do your homework, but you have to also complete the program to get any of it back.
Yeah. Dude, I
So
love that. I've never heard that strategy before. It's really, I can tell you're a psychologist or psychiatrist, whichever one, sorry, that you said. Yeah, you're in like the way people think, or maybe subconsciously think about losing
yeah.
out, right? Yeah,
So
very
I
cool.
my success rate is about 90%. 90% of the people that work with me are successful at investing in real estate.
Very
And
cool.
so this is what I've done, and it works out really well. There's a couple other things that I do, like on the first property that I help them buy, then I'll put $1,000 note on that property with no interest. But that's also the way in which I make this worth my time. But it's great because that they usually make about $40,000 of equity, and then they just pay that off to me, when they go to refinance the property in a few years,
Very
right? Or
cool.
when they sell it in a few years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it works out really well. And as they're doing it, they're learning, they're going through the steps and learning how to do it. And so it's awesome. A lot of the people that I've worked with after the program, they're continually buying properties. They know how to do it. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm up to. I'm really excited about it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you being here, Shiloh. Again, it's really good seeing you. I know it's been a couple months since we last, spoke in person, I should say. But again, just in case someone didn't hear it earlier, where can they reach out to you if they want to learn about everything that you have going on, or just want to rent one of your amazing Costa Rica places? So, and we'll drop the your contact info in the description here. But can you just tell us one more time?
Sure. So if you go to meetshiloh.com, meetshilloh.com, then that pulls up my business card. On my business card, you're going to have links to all my socials, right? My YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. And then on there towards the bottom, I have an icon for Costa Rica. And you can click on that. That'll take you to the website for Costa Rica where you can book, your stay there, or it'll lead you to the website where you can book the stay. Place on there where you can see my cabins. I also have a video on there that talks about my coaching program. If you want to know anything, go ahead, go there, and we can connect.
All right, sounds good. Reach out to Shiloh. He has an amazing coaching program, and he can even hook you up with some Costa Rican properties as well. Thanks again for being here, man. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
Yep.